We have different angles of interest. We have a high role in international security and defense policy. We have a defense industry, so of course it's very important to assure that the interoperability works, and NATO being the key organization in that respect. That has been sort of one driving motive. And then NATO has been a leading crisis management organization. So yes, from Bosnia to KFOR, Kosovo to ISAF now, of course, since Sweden traditionally has been very active in crisis management operations. For instance, on the EU side, Sweden has participated in all ESDP missions, be it civilian or military missions. It has been natural to be associated when there's been a Security Council resolution as the basis for our involvement, to be active, to take active part of those international commitments which were basically given to NATO. So partnership allows us to do quite a lot, and I think therefore we're focusing right now on what we can do, how much further we can get in terms of remaining perhaps even further focusing on certain areas, but remaining an active partner to NATO. And also NATO's global partnerships is also a message that shows that NATO is not only focusing on itself, Article 5, its own defense, but opens up to the world. And that message of openness and transparency is welcome in my country. I must also say, NATO has taken very big steps only very recently. The strategic concept gives a whole new, in my view, a whole new image, a whole new view of NATO. It's a new NATO. I think NATO has been quite amazing to see how closely NATO did consult, not only through Secretary of State Albright, the experts group's work that consulted not only partner countries but quite largely civil society. A large and deep consultation process, which we of course strongly welcomed as non-members and as partner countries. Many of the issues we highlighted as a partner during that process, we then recognized in the strategic concept that came out of it. So I think most of what we heard and what we see in the government, in Parliament, among the wider public, as far as they managed to follow that debate, is a very positive message coming out of NATO. But given that we see a political agenda growing, new threats and challenges that have to be addressed, it has been important for us to try to work towards strengthening the political dialogue. So political dialogue has been a key concern on our behalf, further strengthening our role as troop contributing country to crisis management operations. Again, not only looking at the military side, but if we take Afghanistan as a very concrete example, the whole transition process, which is very closely linked to civil-military issues, and the way we work on a national basis, we promote and we try to work according to a comprehensive approach, having the closeness between civilian activities, political activities, and the military activities. Since that has also now become a leading sort of line and a way of working for NATO, we also wanted to be part of the political aspects that concern an operation. The last issue has been improving EU-NATO relations, basically improving NATO's relations with the national organizations. UN, we see, there's been progress on that cooperation. EU-NATO, we continue to try to push for that because we see it's important that we have a good working relationship between those organizations. Where in EU-NATO relations we still think progress is needed is, for instance, on the political dialogue side. Now that we have a crisis such as the Libya crisis, it would for us be absolutely natural that both organizations would sit down, not only the leaderships, but the organizations as such would sit down and jointly discuss what is going on the ground, how can we both be helpful, not in competition with each other, but in close cooperation and avoiding duplication. Both organizations are needed. The EU has instruments that, of course, NATO does not have, particularly in the longer run, looking at the civilian side, economic reconstruction and development, trade, all the instruments that will be necessary once we've come beyond the crisis phase, but which you might want to address now already in defining where should priority be given. So for us it makes no sense, and we deplore that that dialogue does not take place. We have not decided to become members of NATO. There is no, at present stage, as we talk right now, there is no national consensus on membership to NATO. So therefore that is right now not an issue the government is actively involved or is actively discussing, nor is Parliament. We can now be an active partner, and I think might even be more interesting as a partner country than if we were one of 29 in a NATO context. I would, when I get I get that question from the Swedish audience, including Swedish parliamentarians visiting only recently and saying, well, you know, as you were saying, why do we have to become members? We can do mostly, we can have a political dialogue, we can contribute to operations. We have the interoperability work, we're part of more than 100 experts group in the NATO context. My main personal line, my main line seeing how the alliance is working, is that at the end of the day, or you're a member, you're part of the decision taking at every level, or you're not. And yes, we can pick and choose a little bit, but when it comes to the major decisions, to the sort of core of the cooperation between the members, we're not at the table, we're not in the NAC. That's where issues can be discussed, will be discussed, preparations for future interventions will be discussed. They cannot draw on our contribution in terms of influencing, shaping the process. So I will always see a clear difference between membership and not membership.